Thank you for joining us on another Image review. Every single week, Image provides us with early access to their books so that we can provide you guys with reviews day and date. This week, we are taking a look at Image's newest number one. This book's called Made in Korea. It's by Jeremy Holt with art by George Schall and Adam Willett on letters. So we're going to talk about this book. Before we dive into it, I do want to let you guys know the Comics Pals is a weekly podcast that drops every single Monday where we talk about the characters you love and all the places you can find them. We're talking about the news. We're doing hard-hitting interviews, and we're having a blast doing it. So if you want to hang out with us, make sure that you leave us a follow, a like, and a rating wherever it is you listen to us. If that happens to be YouTube, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends. All those things are free to do, and they help us out a lot more than they cost you. So this was a book that I had no idea what to expect from. I didn't see any promotion for it. We got access to it, and we were trying to figure out what to read this week, and I read it. And I thought, wow, this is actually really, really interesting and really unique. Just to give you guys, the elevator idea, it's basically about a futuristic world in which people can buy robotic children, families that can't conceive, who for whatever reason don't want to adopt. They just get children made for them out of presumably Korea. And it's kind of just about that story. It's really interesting. It hits me right in my feels because I love robots and androids and very human robots. This is my thing. So I was all over this book. What'd you guys think about it?
It was actually really excellent. A great movie, a great kind of post-apocalyptic movie is Children of Men. This kind of had those kind of vibes where, for whatever reason, reproduction seems like it's a lot more challenging. And, instead of, or our Handmaid's Tale, that's another one that also has a similar concept and the kind of apocalyptic ramifications that come from something like that. Here we have these basically artificial children that are kind of sent to families that can't have kids. This was really endearing, especially when they get Jessie, I believe her name is, right? The kid. As soon as she shows up at the house and you see her room with just this ceiling of books everywhere and the roof and this beautiful view of this Bay Area. I'm really curious where it goes because just for a single first issue, they did a really good job of making me kind of care about these characters.
Yeah, the couple that we follow they just seem really nice.
Authentic.
Yeah. And you feel sort of it only sort of vaguely hints at what their problem is, like their reproductive problem is, but you do sort of really feel for them in their struggle, because even as they're looking at these robotic children or whatever, they go, ooh, that's pricey.
Understandably so.
Yeah. There's clearly an undercurrent of something really bad going on, because there is another sort of side to this story that does take place in South Korea, where this is kind of where I assume they're engineering the AI behind these dolls.
Yeah.
And that portion of the story follows a character named Schall, who is working on something major. He cracks the code, but ultimately that ends up being his undoing because he gets captured, and he finds the bodies of these children, and they look horrific and evil. And we don't know yet whether or not that's the idea, that they are low-key evil. Maybe they're infiltrating to try to take over American households or something like that. We don't know yet.
It could just be like when you see a Muppet without the puppeteer, it's just like an empty
Marionette.
vessel. No, a Muppet, very specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it looks horrifying. It looks unnatural. We talk about this
Yep.
couple being authentic. I mean, everything about that is synthetic. It's unnatural, and that's where the dystopian vibes come from.
Yeah. And Schall gets like body snatched,
Yeah.
which is pretty horrific. So this story is clearly blending together that real that nice, sweet, new parent story, juxtaposed with some pretty horrific elements. And I'm excited to follow this book. And again, it caught me completely by surprise. I did not expect this to be what it is. Really enjoyable book.
Good colors, great art. I mean, the character designs are really good. It looks like a good, like, indie comic book.
Yeah. Stories like this that don't feature, supernatural or
They're not action
bombastic
oriented.
elements, not action oriented.
Mm.
They can have a hard time selling you on the characters just because they're very human and there's nothing necessarily stand out about them physically. They don't have a cool costume or anything like that. What Jeremy Holt does well is through, not the book's not overly wordy, through the minimal dialogue. He does a good job of connecting you to these characters. We all understand the plight of families that can't conceive. This is something that we've seen a lot. Maybe that's our struggle. We get it. And so when characters are dealing with that, we can instantly empathize with them and their story. So that's done really effectively here. And then again, the idea of AI in an artificial body, we've seen that a lot. It's the combination of two familiar elements that allow the space to tell a unique story. Because we're not overly concerned with what we don't know, because a lot of this is familiar. So we can open ourselves up to the new experience.
There's some elements of like Ava and Ada here, which is a book club we did.
Oof, love that book.
Yeah, and that's definitely something worth listening to if you haven't. It definitely seems like whatever this Korean company is that manufactures these children are probably going to be coming to look for Jessie, because whatever, was, there's something special about her. It seems like that's what the book's making you think. And so when you really make your characters relatable and likable and you root for them, it's going to be all the more gripping when bad stuff starts pursuing them.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a genuine surprise for me. A book from a creative team that I really am not familiar with anyone who's credited here. Real big surprise. This is my book of the week. Like, this is the best book I read this week.
It was lovely.
Yeah. Really love everything about this book.
We have to read the second one no matter what, I think.
Yeah, and by the way, creepiest question of the week: Daddy, am I tired?
Yeah, Marco says that question to me all the time because he's
God.
also a weird robot.
I really hope, though, that they do address at some point in this book why these families don't simply adopt.
It might be there's just it might be the infertility thing. Who knows?
The infertility thing of what?
Like maybe the people are infertile, like Children of Men style, where they can't have kids. We'll have to see what happens. I'm just speculating.
Oh, like maybe something's happened
Mhm.
that has set off like the birthing rates, or
Yeah.
nuked all the kids or something.
Maybe I get the vibe based on the dialogue. That could be the case, but one of the characters says, "That thing ain't my kin, but I'll be damned if I admit that to Bonnie. What she wants, she gets." The
Right.
fact that he's so dismissive of the child as not being his makes me feel like there are other ways.
But one thing I will say is he's very, very wealthy and affluent. There's no need to like probably adopting one of those robot kids, dropping a bucket for him. So like there was no struggle for that couple to adopt, right? To him, it's probably just an object because it is a robot. But to our protagonist couple, they're probably gonna be paying for that for years, you know.
Like,
Well, they actually were able to. That was the reason they got it, was a discounted unit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The way it seemed like it was kind of similar to like buying a phone or something.
Yeah, yeah, really, really odd.
Yeah.
There's so much more to uncover in this world. That's why I'm definitely going to be looking to read the second issue. If you guys respond to this the way you've been responding to all of our other image reviews, we will definitely provide a review of issue 2 and 3 and wherever this thing goes. I do want to say before we close out, thank you so much for the interaction and the engagement on these reviews. We really appreciate it. It means a lot. So keep that going. And we'll keep these reviews going. So go ahead.
Just quickly, the story, the back matter story, the follow up by Ron Chan, I also thought was really strong. Provides a decent look at what life is like with one of these robots.
Yeah, speak more about it.
Well, so the story starts out with a young person whose parents, I guess, die in a car accident, it looks like, and they go to live with what you assume is their grandmother, who has a small child robot like our protagonist, who's Jesse. And we watch the kid, the real kid grow alongside this robot who never changes. And then eventually the grandmother dies, and the kid grows up and kind of moves away and does their own thing, and then they adopt the robot. And it seems like it sort of takes the place of the grandmother in that moment. I don't know. I thought it was a really good look at the rest of the world that's this world that this issue takes place in.
Yeah. And great storytelling in that back matter piece, because there are no words. It's all Ron Chan's art. And that, again, like, it's difficult to tell a story, it can be, without art. I think the masters of the craft can do that. You get your point across through the visuals. You don't always need the words accentuate. And this is a great example of that. This is a story that, is fully readable without you reading a single word.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. Absolutely tremendous. I'm glad you pointed that out. But yeah, that's going to do it for us on this week's image reviews for Made in Korea #1. Thank you guys for joining us. Until next week, take care, guys.
See you next week.